Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sword Fighting School with John and Steven. We've been doing a lot of work on structure within the body. And today what we'd like to talk about is the way that the grip of your hand on your weapon affects the structure of your shoulder and your elbow. Primarily your elbow and how it can protect or open up your elbow to a counter strike. Today, we are continuing our video series on the grip. The grip that we're looking at today is with the rapier. Now, the rapier, because it's a thrusting weapon over a cutting weapon, we're going to be doing more point-oriented work. We did have a video earlier about how the shoulder affects the point control. But now I want to talk about the grip. There are three ways that you can hold your rapier. There's actually four if we take sweating into account, and I'll talk about that one afterwards. But with the sword, the rapier, the three ways that you can hold it. The first one is just holding your hand without going over the quillin. We will call this the hammer grip. And the hammer grip, I can still put my thumb on the back of my quillin block. In the previous video, we talked about putting your thumb and using the quillin block shelf as kind of a thumb ring. With the rapier, because a lot of them tended to have more of a point on their quillin block, we can use that to put the thumb on there. And again, it gives us the same kind of thing as almost like having a thumb ring. When I'm holding it in this grip, the hammer grip, is this more thrusting or cutting?
This feels more like a cutting grip to me.
This is a great cutting grip. So if I want to develop a strong cut, I can rotate out of fingering the ricasso into the hammer grip to really develop a powerful cut. So we have the hammer grip. Because my thumb can rest on the quillin block, you'll notice my edge is not straight up and down. It's not like this, it's at a slight angle. This means because I'm cutting, I want my edge in line with my long bone of my arm, and that's going to give me stronger cuts in my action. Our second grip is when we put one finger over the quillin. Now with this one, just like when we were talking with the side sword, I don't want my finger around the quillin. I want it to just barely rest on the quillin, so it's just barely over it. This is a grip that we call, do you remember what we call this?
We call it the vulgar grip.
Yes, do you know why it's called the vulgar grip?
I believe, and I don't remember who said this, it was for if you hand the sword to the the vulgar man on the street, he would grip it in this fashion.
Joseph Swetnam, 1617, says that if you hand this sword to the vulgar masses, this is their grip. He does not call it the vulgar grip. I started calling it the vulgar grip from his writings. With the vulgar grip, I have good point control, but I can also get cuts in. And throwing a cut from the vulgar grip can still give me a decent strike. I come through, and I'm not going to swing hard, but I'm going to continue through. I get that. One more time. But if I shift to the hammer grip in the middle of it, that's quite the difference.
Strong, yeah.
And the only difference is this to this. And it automatically can drop right into the hammer grip if I so choose. So we have the hammer grip, the vulgar grip. The hammer grip gives us the greatest cutting ability, the strongest cuts. That is not to say that you cannot cut with the vulgar grip. You can still cut very well with the vulgar grip. In fact, that's how we hold the side sword.
Yep.
So it works great. That's going to bring us to the third grip. And the third grip is what we call the Spanish grip. And the reason we call it the Spanish grip is when you're holding a cup hilt rapier, it has a very short handle, and you want to put your fingers inside the cup. On this one, your index finger does go around your quillen. So now the edge of your blade is resting inside the first joint of your index finger, of your middle finger. Your index finger is now just barely caressing the edge of the blade in the ricasso. So this gives me a very strong point control. And because I'm resting just my index finger under the blade, it's just small movements of my hand that give me strong and fast point control without much movement in my wrist. And because this is a thrusting weapon which is so fast, any excessive movement through your wrist is going to create time. The Spanish grip has the strongest point control. I can cut with it, but it takes wider actions of my arm. The hammer grip has the strongest cutting ability, but gives me the least amount of point control for thrusting. The Vulgar grip is kind of the halfway point, so it gives me the best of both worlds. For myself, when I am fencing with the rapier, I will live primarily in the Spanish grip because I want that point control. Unless I know I'm going to start cutting, then as I'm doing it, that little transfer right now, you can see, put me right into the Vulgar grip. So if I'm here, I'm in the Spanish grip, and I'm moving around and I'm fencing, now I'm in the Vulgar grip. You can see how quickly that turned from one to the other. And then as I begin my cut, it's easy to move right into the hammer grip. So we can rotate between all three of these grips within one action.
It's super, super subtle, almost little clicking on a spot there. I want that fine point control. I want my Spanish grip, those two fingers, to really play in that very small, minor, minimal motion.
Yes.
But if I'm going to the broader geometry of a cut, then it allows me to switch each step of the way of my cut, which is actually now reducing the circle, which is reducing the time. Would I be right in that?
Yes, but it also does one other thing. Go to the Spanish grip. You'll notice with the Spanish grip, hold it in here. It's a very narrow angle from this shoulder. It angles out, and then it angles back into the point. Now go to a Vulgar grip. Now it's a wider angle with your point.
Oh, yeah, it's much more offline.
Now go back to the Spanish grip. And that pulls it in. So what that means for us when we're fencing, if you'll go on guard with me, see, let me be on this side, please. If I'm in cart in the Vulgar grip, my point's up, you're not going to run into it, go forward. See how that goes right next to my body?
Yep.
Recover. My point's up, you're not going to run into it, go forward. So what this means is that with my cage, this allows me to do greater, I keep my hand more in front of my body in the Spanish grip than I do in the Vulgar grip. You can see how much your point moves between those two.
Yeah. That almost looks in the extension here, almost 2-3 inches addition there.
Yeah, at this end, it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the Vulgar grip and I'm here, I can't really do that at all. Go ahead and go forward. Because it just doesn't, you push my sword right out of the way.
I did.
Go ahead and do it again. So I'm going to hold it here. Go ahead and push through. And I was trying to not move my point.
And I took complete control of it, and I'm safe.
Go back, do it again. Now I'm in the vulgar grip.
Oh.
Now we both die.
Yeah.
Go back. Now I'm in the Spanish grip. Now,
oh,
what happened?
I'm just offline.
Yep, and my point's in your face.
Yeah.
Because I had 2 fingers around my ricasso, I drew the sword back into my hand. That gave me greater control of my forte. The less fingers I have around my ricasso, the less control I have above my grip. Understanding how those 3 guards, those 3 grips can affect your strength and the amount of space that you have to move to cover your line will allow you to manipulate your opponent's sword in and out of your body silhouette and allow different strengths in different actions, whether it's a cut or a thrust, and a tajo in the Spanish system, a cavazione in the Italian system, a beat, an evulsion, whether it's a beat or, I just blanked on the word.
Beat.
I'll leave that out. It'll affect different controls that you have of your sword. The grip that you use will affect the way that the sword interacts with the opponent's sword, how much of your hand you need to move inside your silhouette to change his point orientation. So the 3 grips give you a lot of different opportunities. But that brings us to our last one that I was talking about, which is Joseph Swetnam's. And this is a grip that he talks about. He calls it the Staccato Grip. The Staccato Grip is a grip that you only use with a secondary tool, like a dagger or a buckler or something. And that grip is, he says, you put the pommel nut in the pinky. So you hold it in this fashion. And what it does is it gives you an extra 4 to 5 inches of reach that your opponent may not necessarily be ready to see, because it doesn't look from this perspective. There's the vulgar grip, there's a Spanish grip, vulgar grip, hammer grip, there's the staccato grip. But you really only want to do the staccato grip if you have a secondary tool, just because this is such a weak grip on the foible. I need to make sure that I'm capturing his weapon with another defensive tool without letting him manipulate my sword. So if you go into the vulgar grip, and just go ahead and push my sword out of the way. I'm never going to stop that.
Yeah.
Go and do it again. Cool. But if I capture this on my secondary blade, look how much length I have over him. So that is our 4th grip, the staccato grip, as taught by Joseph Swetnam. Again, only use the staccato grip if you have a secondary defensive tool. And with that, what did you learn?
Looking at the different grips, I've talked about it, because rapier is not my strongest suit. I haven't spent as much time with this tool as I have with anything else. And I actually want to go to the Spanish grip specifically in this one here, because it's the one I've worked with the most, but again, I keep evolving my refinement in there. And it's actually hooking the first digit of the middle finger around the quillin and ricasso. And I just noticed playing with that, we should be keeping that pommel on the outside of the wrist in all the guards.
Yes.
The pressure of the overhook means that this hand is even more relaxed in this space, which means there's even more hang on the shoulder, as opposed to the tension that travels through by the pinching of the pinky.
Right. In the side sword class, when we talked about the grip in the side sword, what finger was always in contact with the handle?
The middle finger. And are we doing the same thing
Same thing here.
It's just a different location is
Yep.
all.
Now I move, my middle finger is always in contact. It rests on my index finger, and my pinky and my ring finger manipulate it.
Yeah. So that is just really nice and can help me with that longer period of time to be able to spend in that play, in that position.
And that means that if we're on guard, go ahead and do whatever you want to do. I can easily control things.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that again. It's very easy for me to manipulate it.
Yeah. Because
I lift it up.
And you're leading right.
And I'm right there already.
Yep.
So the grip of your sword is going to allow different strengths in your actions. Understand what those different grips affect, and hold your sword light enough so that you can move in between your grips. You should never strangle your sword. If you are holding your sword, you're doing it wrong. You want to support your sword. Once you realize that all you're doing is supporting it and you're creating balance and counterbalances, whatever the sword style, you can now manipulate your sword with more control. And just like a punch, if John were to punch me, when are you going to tense up?
At the very last point of contact.
And the same is true for the sword. I am relaxed until contact. And that's how we want to hold our sword to protect ourselves. And with that, we're going to close up. So thank you very much for joining us today. Have a wonderful day, stay safe, and we'll see you at the next video. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Take care. Boom.
Good to see you.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. Hope that we were able to give you some good information for gripping your sword. If you liked what you saw, please hit the subscribe button below and hit the notification icon below. We have a lot of videos that we know you'll enjoy. So please subscribe and share our videos around.